Good day everyone, especially to you ma'am. Hi, my name is Ramelin Rosie Mapula from BPED 1 Section F. And I am the first reporter in Group 9. So my topic is all about global demographic. Global demographic is the statistical study of the size, structure, and distribution of populations. So contemporary demographic concerns include the population, explosion, the interplay between population and economic development. So demographic changes affect all areas of human activity, economic, social, culture, and political. When we say global demographic, every year has changed the global growth when it comes of the human population, births, deaths, and migration. These are big three of demographic and which producing population stability. So to understand the global economy, especially at this time of pandemic, many children give birth that cause of overpopulation, but because of the pandemic, many people are also dying. So they examine the number of human population, their sizes, composition, and distribution across space, and the process through which population, births, and etc. What I have said earlier, moreover, it may affect each and every aspect of our lives. So from the word economic and social policy to city planning and climate change, the moreover population, the more we expected to change not it just our lives, but the entire world as well. This means the more increasing, the more human population of each countries, they will be addressed if they will be going to examine the cause why is still increasing or decreasing of the human population of each countries. Basically, they have data wherein we can see and understand how world to change to the number of people that live in an area. So many issues in the country that cause many problems for people through human activities, which are economic, social, cultural, and political. These are common areas can be impacted when now society changes, and they are all interrelated. A change in one area can lead changes throughout. So that would be all. Thank you and God bless you.
Have a good day to you, Ma'am Marian. I am Therese Marie Amahinay from BPED 1F. So I've assigned to discuss about demographic transition. Demographic transition started in mid or late 1770s in Europe. So during those time, death rate and fertility rate begin to decline. High to low fertility happened 200 years in France and 100 years in the United States. In other parts of the whole world, the Africa and Asia with the exemption of Japan. So the demographic transition was proposed by the American demographer Frank W. Notestein in the mid-20th century. So where areas, it is a generalized description of the changing pattern of mortality, fertility, and growth rates as societies move from one demographic regime to another. So for example, that being said, stage 4 of the DTM is viewed as an ideal placement for a country because total population growth is gradual. Examples of countries in stage 4 of the demographic transition are Argentina, Australia, Canada, China, Brazil, and most of Europe, Singapore, South Korea, and the US. So the demographic transition model was initially proposed in 1929 by demographer Warren Thompson. The model had 4 stages: pre-industrial, urbanizing or industrializing, mature industrial, and post-industrial. So according to Madison, 2001, that life expectancy in India was only 24 years in the early 20th century, while same life expectancy occurred in China in 1929 until 1931. So the effect of the demographic transition on income growth is referred to as the first demographic dividend. Countries experience an increasing share of the working age population relative to the total population, and this creates favorable effect on the per capita income. So in summary, demographic change will result in a slower growing and older population. So this transition will likely put downward pressure on the growth rate of potential output, the natural rate of unemployment, and the long-term equilibrium interest rate. So that's all for my topic.
Good day, mom and classmates. I am J. Carlo A. Minimo, and I am going to discuss you what is overpopulations all about for you to be able to understand and to broaden your ideas about this topic. As you can see in the PowerPoint presentation, I know that everyone is knowledgeable enough what is overpopulation is, but I am going to discuss you because it is a topic that focuses throughout global issue. Also, overpopulation is a concept of a human population that becomes too large to be sustained by its environment or resources in the long terms. So basically, as you can see in the PowerPoint, the short definition of overpopulation is all about an overcrowded living conditions. And in a simple words, for you to understand clearer and to understand more, overpopulation is a state whereby the human population rises to an extent exceeding that carrying the capacity of the ecological system. So later on, I will give you some example of countries that are overpopulated. And in the next slides, here are some pictures of overpopulated. So I will share you a brief history of overpopulations. So British scholar Thomas Matthews, who wrote in his 1798 an essay on the principle of populations, he warned that population's growth will exhaust, that will bring about the shortage of food supplies in the world by the middle of the 19th century. But it was revived in the late 19th century. So when the American biologist Paul R. Ehrlich and his wife Anne wrote The Population's Bomb, that overpopulation in the 1970s and 1980s will bring about global environmental disaster that would lead to the food shortage and mass starvation. These overpopulations have brought the planet to its current dangerous overpopulations, and it was called dangerous overpopulations that affects the medical, technological, agricultural, financial, transport, and demographical in nature. So these overpopulation revolutions has a negative effects that causes negative impacts to the society or environment, which it is because of overpopulated that might happen. So as I say that I will give you two example countries that are overpopulated. So about 61% of the global populations live in Asia, the world's most populated continent. China alone is home to 1.44 billion people, and India is 1.39 billion, accounting for 19% and 18% of the world's populations respectively. So they are the overpopulated areas that face many challenges. So most of which stem from the impact of climate change or human disaster or populations of natural resources, but a recent study published by Nature Communication points to rising sea level as one of the greatest dangers. So according to this study, coastal areas currently inhabited by 300 million peoples are set to experience annual flooding by in the future of 2050 unless measures are taken to hold back the water. So a figure 3 times higher than previous estimated. So I believe that these two countries will experience global revolutions or the overpopulation revolution, which will give them a negative effects and negative impacts. So I will end my part in my report as I leaving this quote. Our Earth is in danger of overpopulations. Control the population and save the Earth. That's all, and thank you.
So good morning everyone, I am Reggie A. Maricho, and in this video, I will be talking about the cause and effect of overpopulation. But before we will talk about that, let me just give you a brief discussion about overpopulation. Conversation about overpopulation can become very controversial because they beg the question, who exactly is the cause of the problem and what, if anything, should be done about it? Many population experts worry discussion around overpopulation will be abused by small-minded people to suggest some are the right people to be on this planet like themselves, and some are people are the wrong people. Usually people in poverty, people in color, foreigners, and so on. You get the drift. But there are no wrong or right people on this planet. And discussing the problem of global overpopulation can never be an excuse or in any way provide a platform for having that type of conversation. I believe that each human being has a legitimate claim on a sufficient and fair amount of Earth's resources. But with a population approaching 8 billion, according to my research, even if everyone adopted a relatively low material standard of living, like the one currently found in Papua New Guinea, it would still push Earth to its ecological breaking point. Unfortunately, the 50% average person in the United States uses almost 5 times more than the sustainable yield of the planet. So now, let us talk about the cause and effect of overpopulation. So ano nga ba yung sanhi ng overpopulation? The first one is the failing morality, mainly due to medicine. So let's talk about it. What do we mean by morality? So when morality declines from a high level, it is primarily early deaths that are eliminated, in particular deaths of children and young adults. The result is a younger, not older, population as we seen in Africa in 1950s and 1960s, table 1B as per my research. So failing morality rate mainly due to medicine, the Industrial Revolution brought with it a revolution in the world of medicine. Scientific progress allowed us from then onward to overcome diseases that are previously could only end in death. At the same time, lifespan are increasing all over the world. Those of us who are alive today will likely live much longer than most of our ancestors. Global average life expectancy has more than doubled in 1990, thanks to the advancement in medicine, technology, and general hygiene. Failing morality rates are certainly nothing to complain about either, but with spread longevity thus contribute to the world of mathematical of increasing population numbers. Mortality, mainly due to medicine, is one of the cause in overpopulation because of the evolution of medicine. Because of medicine, we were able to overcome diseases, gumagaling tayo sa mga sakit, and humahaba yung buhay natin. And at the same time, dumarami rin yung nanganganak, and kaya siya nagiging cause kasi nadadagdagan yung population natin dahil nga sa sa evolution ng medicine, hindi na-overcome natin yung mga disease, hindi tayo na basta-basta namamatay. So kaya siya naging cause ng overpopulation. So the second reason is the progress in food production. So this is a major factor for this increase in world population growth. Although increasing the incomes of millions of people in the world is a great benefit to those individuals, it does increase food needs and demands on the world's agricultural resources. So as nagiging causing progress in food production kasi dumadami yung nagpo-produce ng pagkain ng foods, and then dahil doon dumadami rin yung nagko-consume ng food, kaya nagiging cause siya. So the third one is migration and urban concentration. So ito yung paglipat-lipat ng isang tao sa ibang bansa, pagta-transfer nila. So according to my research, migration leads to higher growth in urban population, but the migration rate has been very low in India. Bakit kaya? To increase the growth rate of urbanization, it is essential to promote rural and urban migration. Migration depends upon the factor like job opportunities in urban areas, urban poverty, and high urban wage rate. So, di ba tayong mga gustong-gusto nating mag-travel for job opportunities or for like basta mag-travel lang. So, nagiging cause yun siya ng overpopulation kasi nadadagdagan yung population ng isang bansa kasi maraming pumupunta dito. Maraming pumupunta dito for job opportunities, merong bumibisita lang. So dahil doon nagiging cause siya kasi dumadami yung population doon because of those people who tend to go there and visit there and look for a job there. So the last cause of overpopulation is a very known cause, a very interesting cause kasi it is the teenage pregnancy, which is very relevant during this time of pandemic kasi maraming mga kabataan ang nabubuntis. So at the aggregated level, a high teenage pregnancy rate contributes to high population growth as teenage mother will have considerably longer exposure to the risk of pregnancy than those who enter into marital unions or at a later age. So, nagiging cause ang teenage pregnancy sa overpopulation kasi especially during this time of pandemic, maraming mga young women ang nabubuntis. Dahil doon, tumataas yung numbers ng population at nagiging cause siya. So, we're done talking about the cause of overpopulation. I hope you were able to learn something and realize something. So, now let's go on the effect of overpopulation. So, the first effect of overhuman population is exhaustion of natural resources. So as a result, the consequences of increase in human population on the environment are diverse. Some of these consequences may have been associated with land fragmentation, soil degradation, air pollution, pressure on water resources, and alteration of Earth's climate, among others. Erosion of farmland, overuse of both surface and groundwater, building supplies, infinite fossil fuels, and escalating extinction of plant and animal species imperil the ability of the Earth's resources to meet the needs of some enormous numbers of humans. So the second reason is environmental degradation. An increase in population will inevitably create pressures leading to more deforestation, decreased biodiversity, and spikes in pollution and emission, which will exacerbate climate change. Population is growing rapidly, far outpassing the ability of our planet to support it. Given current practices, overpopulation is associated with negative environment and economic outcomes ranging from the impacts of overfarming, deforestation, and water pollution to eutrophication and global warming. So the third reason is the rising unemployment. When a country became overpopulated, it gives rise to unemployment as there are fewer jobs to support a large number of people. The rise in unemployment gives rise to crime, such as theft, as people want to feed their families and provide them basic amenities of life. An imbalance between the supply of labor and the demand for it gave a rise to unemployment and underemployment. The vicious cycle generated by a high dependency burden associated with a young age structure led to low savings and investments, which is turned led to low income growth and a low standard of living. Unemployment has caused to a society that are more than just financial. Unemployed individuals not only lost income but also face challenges to their physical and mental health. Societal costs of high unemployment include higher crime and a reduced rate of volunteerism. So the fourth reason is the technological advances. As new technologies are evolving, agricultural production is increasing. As a result, morality is decreasing and fertility is increasing. New technologies can increase productivity and hence the population grows. Apart from this, technological changes also raise income at a global level. Technological advances, which are introduced to the system of autonomous invention, can increase productivity, thus buying time for growing populations, but they serve stimulate further growth. Continued growth entails eventual diminishing returns to labor or capital scarcities in food and other commodities. So the fifth reason is depletion of resources caused by overpopulation. People's consumption of energy and for transportation, heat, food production, and other activities generates air, land, and water pollution. More people means more pollution, which can exacerbate the depletion of natural resources. For example, when fossil fuels are burned to generate power, carbon dioxide is released. So the last reason is the increase in infectious disease resulting in pandemic and epidemics caused by human overpopulation. So the best example for this is the one that we are currently facing, which is the COVID-19 pandemic. On the 11th of March 2020, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus disease 19 or the COVID-19 outbreak a global pandemic. Since then, COVID-19 has highlighted the weakness of the healthcare system worldwide, as well as the lack of conditions between governments in the face of global health crisis. It has also emphasized how reluctant citizens can be to follow guidelines and make personal sacrifices for the common good. Now, more than ever, it is evident that actions is required to prevent further pandemics by targeting the roots of the problem rather than the problem itself. It appears that human overpopulation and everything it entails may be the core issue. The sixth reason is the increase in famine, starvation, and malnutrition caused by human overpopulation. Sustainability. The large increase in global population being met with an event greater increase in food supply, largely due to increase in yields per hectare. As we discussed here, insufficient aggregated food supply per person is just one factor that can bring out famine morality. Overpopulation inevitably leads to overuse of our resources, erosion of land, shortage of water, exhaustion of fuel supplies, extinction of forests or destruction of forests, and widespread hunger.